So I'd like to call out, obviously, Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva. He's the founder of and CEO of Balance Healthcare. Sanjay actually comes from a diverse education background in strategy to international marketing to healthcare education in cardiometabolic and lifestyle medicine. Currently based in New Delhi. Sanjay runs Balance Healthcare, which is a comprehensive functional and bioregulatory medicine center facility in Delhi, and manages India's only mobile functional medicine clinic for at-home wellness services. He's also doing wellness consultancy for many wellness projects and resorts, Ayurveda and naturopathy, and functional medicine clinics in India and abroad. And his mission, and I'd like to stress on this point as well, his mission is to integrate traditional healing with modern wellness innovations to create impactful, future-ready health care solutions. So without further ado, on the topic of preserving cognitive function, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva.
Thank you so much. That's very nice of you to have introduced me. You've been hearing a lot of beautiful, very technically innovative and informed medical talks in the last 2 days, and I'm quite actually flabbergasted and overwhelmed with all the data and all the knowledge that I've acquired. I'm not a medical doctor, so my presentation is very simple. It's about a lot of data that was there. In the last half an hour, I've deleted most of the slides because they were already spoken about in the last 2 days, so I did not want to repeat what has been said. Rather, I would concentrate on my own experiences with preserving cognitive health and why I did it. A lot of my knowledge in the preservation of cognitive health and making my brain younger, I owe it to my son who's here in this hall, and to my wife, who have taught me never to age or never to think that you're aging. So I'll start with that. Old age has come at a bad time actually. Just as I was beginning to know everything, I realized that I'm now 65, I have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, a lot of mistakes I've made in my life. But then I start to forget. That's a wrong time, no? When you know everything, when you're already wise enough and you start forgetting things. We are not afraid of getting old. We are afraid of forgetting our loved ones. We are afraid of forgetting important things in life. And that's why it's important to understand how to preserve cognitive function. Cognitive longevity, which is also the title of my new book, spans about attention, memory, perception, logic and reasoning, and processing. The science is quite old, but I've divided this talk into 5 parts. What is actually cognitive longevity? Why does our brain age? How do we train our brain to be smart? And the dangers that can cause brain to age faster. My personal learnings from this, and also the key takeaways. If you don't have takeaways from a talk, what is it that you take home with you? It's not about people showing that they have knowledge, it's about what can I give to you to take away with you. That's what's important. Cognitive aging is basically a natural decline of certain mental faculties and abilities as we grow older. However, it's a normal part of aging. Typically, it starts at 30s and 40s. When you start noticing changes, you start forgetting things, important things sometimes. You forget where your keys are lying. You forget a telephone number. You forget the name of the person that you just met last party. But this is normal. However, losing cognitive abilities to the point of dementia, that is not normal. That's where the alarm bell rings. However, the brain starts to age much faster than our actual chronological age. Sometimes the difference can be as much as 20-25 years. So if you could be 40, but your brain could be as old as a 65-year-old. That's the risky point where we need to be careful about. One of the things that we heard from Dr. Bryan and from Dr. Mark Gordon was about the influence of ApoE4 gene. I'm not going to talk about this much because we've already heard so much about this from the doctors. But let's say we see a list of 12 words here for 10 seconds on the screen. And let's see how many of this can you remember. Look at it for 10 seconds or 5 seconds. and then see what can you remember of this now. So was these words on the list, eyes, apple, shoes, mirror, was it on that list which I just showed you or not? How many of you can remember or recall? So that's where it really counts by, and if you can't remember and recall it, then there's obviously something slowing down. Definition of well-being indicates that yes, all the dopamine and serotonin and melatonin and all these oxytocin, GABA, these are important for brain function. But if you see the physiological markers of wellness, cognitive ability and memory is number one on the list. How do we train our brain to stay smart? That's the important part to understand. Well, there are computer-based techniques and there are non-computer-based interventions. Recalling sequences of numbers, identifying patterns, or solving puzzles is one of the areas. Then there are non-computer based exercises, strategy games and educational activities. However, I have felt one part of this which is very, very important is lifelong learning. I have myself not ever given up learning. I am still learning. I started educating myself in medicine just 10 years ago and in nutrition actually. I'm not even a medicine person. But I learned in the last 10 years, I'm still learning, I'm still doing courses and I'm still learning new things. Diet, of course, we've heard a lot about nutrition and the importance of the gut-brain axis. The gut-brain axis is activated with certain type of diets, fiber, prebiotics, probiotics, short-chain fatty acids. We've heard about this in the last 2 days, so I'm not going to the depth of this. But here's something which I discovered myself. So I'm talking more about my experiences from the learnings rather than what you already can download from the internet. There's a lot of data on the internet. And today morning, my friend Ushi told me not to have slides that are available on the internet. So I changed a lot. But yes, I sort of developed my own brand of bullet coffee, which I serve to all my patients and we sell them at the clinic. Also, we mix turmeric latte with lion's mane mushroom and with certain nootropics. We use rhodiola mushroom powder, we use some dark cocoa powder, and we lace it with a lot of MCT oil. This has helped me. I've also started to use ghee, which is an Indian grass-fed butter or clarified butter. Use it in the coffee. This is a medium-chain triglyceride, which has gained popularity in the recent years. I have felt myself sustain energy and focus, weight management control, cognitive function improvement, and it boosts metabolism. A recent study in 2020, just a few years ago, did on random control trials on about 6 groups of people, and almost 40% of them or 50% of them reported improvements. These improvements in brain function and memory lasted for about 3 to 4 hours. So if you have an important meeting to attend, you have this bullet coffee before, and for 3 to 4 hours your brain stays really sharp and cognitively intelligent. The mind diet is very important. We've talked about diet and nutrition a lot, but what is actually mindful diet? Mindful eating is about observation of the food, awareness, savor the food in the moment, non-judgmental, and the most important of them, which is not mentioned here, is gratitude. I always express gratitude. I close my eyes, I pray to the person who's grown the food, to the person who's cooked the food, to the person who's serving the food. That gratitude changes the molecular structure of food. It changes the molecular structure of water. We've all heard of Emoto's experiments in Japan and how he talked about the molecules of water changing from ice particles to the tadpole-like particles. When you are having bad vibrations, the water molecules change. Same way, if you're eating mindfully, the molecular structure of food will change, and that impacts the brain directly. Of course, we know omega-6 and omega-3 and antioxidants, whole grains, B vitamins are important for the brain. So we talk about calorie restriction. Here's another new learning for me. I have heard a lot and learned a lot about fasting and the benefits of fasting and calorie restriction on brain function. But what I discovered myself was through some biohacks. These biohacks were taught to me by Dr. Sujit, who happens to be here, and Mr. Nair. I learned about this and I started to do a hack which was different from what I was taught. I started to practice 16-8 fasting, then I did 24 one day in 15 days, then 12-12, so that means I have 3 meals a day and I cheat on that day, and then I do 18-6. So 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating, 18 hours of fasting, 6 hours of eating, 12 hours of fasting, 12 hours of eating, and 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating. I cycle between these so that the body does not get used to it. If your body gets used to a 16-8 schedule, then your body knows when to expect the next meal to come. And you already are used to, the body does not respond as fast, and your metabolic rate goes up. I've measured metabolic rate on the Sega BCA machine, and I've seen that the metabolic rate goes up when you are cycling the fasting, and that's why calorie restriction is important. Exercise, of course, nothing, we've heard a lot about the exercise part, and it improves circulation, neural growth, cognitive function increases, but the main role is of BDNF. Again, if there's something that you need to understand is that exercise and aerobics are important. Meditation, we've heard so much in the last 2 days. We had a beautiful talk by Emmy yesterday, and we heard about the importance of mindfulness and meditation being a strong mind medicine. There are 7 most effective meditation techniques for brain health, which is the gold standard is, of course, mindfulness, which we heard Emmy talk about yesterday. Transcendental meditation is effortless, deep relaxation. We can do a tiny 30-second bit of this by doing a specific type of chant, which is actually the primordial sound of the earth. So when you go into space, about few years ago, the space travelers, they recorded the sound of the earth, and the earth is humming a sound of Om. That is actually the sound that is recorded just about 4 years ago, and this is a sound we all can hum it for about 30 seconds, and we know the difference because it activates a specific part of the amygdala in the brain. So let's just take a deep breath in and chant with me. Ideally, this should be lasting 30 seconds. This will certainly charge up your brain. If you do it 3 times in the morning, you will see the difference in terms of activation of the brain. Then focus attention. So you focus your attention on a certain point, like a candle wick is one of the other ways. Loving kindness meditation, also known as heartfulness meditation. You focus on the heart and you go deeper inside to connect with yourself, is another form of meditation. Body scan meditation is also called Yoga Nidra in yoga, and this is being not in a sleep state, but in an active mind state, but you are lying down. Visualization, which is a creative visualization method and problem solving method, which everybody follows. Walking meditation, we heard from Ushi a lot about movement meditation. When your body is moving, you are still able to meditate. Supplements, we've heard a lot about antioxidants, vitamins, ginkgo biloba, but I have been working recently with a group of doctors in the south of India, in Kerala, where we are developing what we call as gut-brain axis supplements. The gut-brain axis supplements have Bacopa monnieri, rhodiola, and some lion's mane mushroom, ginkgo biloba. These are researched, and there are some studies on this already available. These are the studies that are certifying that these have impact on the brain. Neuroplasticity. I think the most important takeaway from this is neuroplasticity. There are 2 types, structural and functional plasticity. Both of them are interesting to learn, but we'll talk about it in a bit, how I imbibe neuroplasticity into my life. Social engagement, yes, it's important. One thing I learned from my wife is about social engagement. No matter what happens, you do not give up your friends. There is a club that she formed called the 2 a.m. club. The 2 a.m. club means that at 2 a.m. those friends can call you anytime. Nobody asks any question, why do you need me? You put a message on that group, I need you. And if those 10 of them, somebody whoever is in town will land up at your house. Whether you had a heart attack or you need an emergency situation, they will land up, no questions asked. That dependence on social connections is a huge, huge impact on this. And has a big role to play with cognitive longevity. Midbrain activation, very interesting part. We all know how to exercise like this, and we all know how to do this. But let's say how we do this.
Midbrain activation
Try it, try it.
Yeah, keep switching. It's really challenging. You can see my face is super constricted, but that's the point. Now we're going to point our index and pinky.
The pinky index. See if you can do this. I learned this from my friend Dr. Praveen Saxena, who is also in this hall, and we can all do this. We can all do this, but let's say doing it one hand like this and one hand like that, the other way around at the same time. That's interesting. Cognitive friendly spaces, a lot of architectural design, lighting, acoustics, and being in the natural light also helps to increase the cycle of your circadian rhythm, and you stay with that. Hormones, we just heard lots of talk from Dr. Mark Gordon on the hormones and the brain activation. This is very important because critically testosterone, estrogen, and other hormones have a huge role to play. Thyroid function is regulated with bioidentical thyroid. It has an impact on the brain function. Let's go a little bit of, thanks to Dr. Peter Bongiorno who's here, reverse psychology. How can we endanger our brain? Let's try to make our brain short-lived. So how do we make our brain more, how do we endanger ourselves? So it's a little reverse psychology. Earpods. All of us are using earpods. Almost everybody I see around Bangkok is wearing earpods. But you know what? It's almost like carrying a microwave. If you have an EMF meter in your house, you measure, you go to next to a microwave and you just measure the EMF radiation from the microwave, and then you measure the EMF radiation from the earpods. It is the same. It's the same frequency. So you're virtually carrying a microwave around in both your ears, and you're constantly radiating those waves into your brain. That's one big risk. Alzheimer risk are insulin resistance, social isolation, high blood pressure, smoking, sedentary lifestyle. These are all dangers to the brain aging. Various dangers that are actually causing your brain to slow down. Always use ChatGPT. MIT recently did a survey on this, and this was released only about 4 months ago. 3 months of using ChatGPT, and 83% users could not recall a single sentence they had just written a few minutes earlier. In contrast, those writing without AI could had no trouble in remembering. So brain connectivity dropped sharply from 79 to 42 points. That's a 47% drop in neural engagement just by using ChatGPT. I mean, we are almost getting dependent on this. I remember when I used to go to London many years ago, the taxi driver in London knew every street. You just have to tell them, take me to this street, and they will just drive there without asking the way, without stopping the car. Now they can't. In the last 10 years, they depend upon Google Maps. So they just press where the destination is and they've stopped thinking. And their brain size has shrunk by 4.5% already. That's a very dangerous area. This news appeared in the Indian newspaper 3 days before I was leaving for Bangkok. People in India have started using ChatGPT for relationships. They have made brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, emotional connections through ChatGPT. I mean, they are leaving human connections, human relationships, and making relationships with a computer, with an AI program. That's how dangerous it's getting. So it's important to have it, it's important to use it as a tool, but not change your life for it. Why socialize, stay lonely? We talked about loneliness and cognitive decline and the impact it has on social relationships. Stay stressed always. So stress on the brain has a different impact on the HPA axis. We talked about the HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary gland axis. Impact of stress on the brain is huge because the cortisol levels go up whenever you are stressed. When cortisol goes up, your sugar will go up and your prefrontal cortex and amygdala will always be impacted with that. Kill your sleep. A lot of my patients, I would say 60 to 70% of my patients do not sleep. It's not about the number of hours, it's the quality of REM sleep. They're not even getting 10% REM sleep. Even if they're sleeping 6 to 8 hours, their REM sleep is 10%. So they're mostly semi-awake, and that's where the dangerous part is. Sleep indicates is a huge role to play because that's where the regeneration takes place. Toxin clearance takes place at that time. Your brain gets to clean itself. Memory consolidation happens, and there is neural repair that happens at night, only when you are in deep sleep. You need to be in REM sleep. 20% deep sleep, 23% REM sleep is important. Pollute your mind with what? Heavy metals, lead and mercury. So we do a oligoscan test for every patient that comes into our clinic, and we see a lot of heavy metal load. Specifically after the COVID vaccination, we saw a lot of aluminium in the body of the people that is affecting the neural circuits in the brain. Aluminium is neurotoxic, you know that. Lead and mercury are neurotoxic as well. Lead exposure even at low levels is deleterious and has a lot of effects on the brain. Similarly, mercury exposure, which people get with in India 10 years ago, in fact all over the world, dentists used to use amalgam fillings, which are now not happening anymore. Pharmaceutical interventions, yes, the pharma industry is now developing nootropics, and nootropics is a new exploration of the pharmacological action of the brain. It has a lot of CBD medicine, has a huge role to play with neuropeptides having this thing. Here is a little bit of personal information. So we've talked a lot about data from the internet and a lot of learnings from various presentations over the last few days. But from me to working in hospitals, to medicine practice, to Tai Chi, to mindfulness, I kind of developed my own practice and my own system to think longer, think better, clearer, and feel more alive. What did I do to stay brain smart? Here's my learnings. Neuroplasticity. So I knew nothing about functional medicine at the age of 50, but in the last 10 to 15 years, I acquired my A4M degree and acquired my PhD. I was one of the few people who did his PhD at the age of 55. So it's a constant state of learning to improve neuroplasticity. I had no idea of golf. I did not know the difference between a cricket bat and a golf club. And then my son encouraged me to play golf, and that's how I started to learn, and now I've probably won about 20 trophies odd. Another part is learning to play. I always play right-handed golf, but then I started to play left-handed golf now. So I rent a left-handed set, and I'm starting to play with both sides so that I can practice the left and right side of the brain development. So this is another technique to use that. You can also use techniques of writing with the left hand and writing with the right hand, learning to write with the left hand. So this will impact and will help you to develop another side of the brain that you're not using. Tai Chi, which Dr. Ushi encouraged me to learn. Few months ago I joined classes, and I had a teacher come home every Sunday to teach me, and in 3 or 4 months time I had the basics right. Meditation we've talked about enough. I think I also had no idea of writing a book, and in the last 5 years I've written 3 books. That's another area. So what is cognitive health really? True cognitive health is not when you just survive, you thrive, you perform, you evolve, and you flow. What is the flow state? We will know now. Impossible is only a state of mind. There's actually a formula for achieving it. And if you have cognitive longevity, it gives you the map, not just to fight the disease, but to master your biology. That's what it does. Here is, it's again not about adding superpowers, but it's about discovering the superpower that you already have in your brain. It is a shift in perception of what your mind is truly capable of doing. That's where it counts. Today, I invite you all to see yourself not just as a body, but as the 5 elements as in the Hindu tradition it's taught: earth, water, air and fire combined. When you align these 4 forces, you just don't survive, you actually tune into your true cognitive potential. What are the 4 bodies blueprint for cognitive longevity? Physical is the earth body, mental is the air body, emotional is water body, and spiritual is the fire body. Cellular hydration is the first takeaway for you to take away today. What is cellular hydration? Every cell of the body is crying for water. 75 to 80% people who do the BCA test will realize that their bodies are dehydrated. There is not enough water in your body. Most of them are having less than 20 liters of water in their body, whereas the right amount should be 23 to 30 liters of water. Boost your gut microbiome diversity. Yesterday we had a very nice brilliant talk about eating 32 vegetables in a week. and that is creating microbiota diversity, not microbiome diversity. We heard that yesterday in one of the talks. It's very important to eat fiber, eat colors, grow your inner rainforest. VO2 max is your vitality meter. Move daily, live longer. If there is one thing that you take away from this talk, it is about movement. MOVE, keep moving. There's no excuse. I'm traveling. I had a 16-hour flight from the US. I have no time. I'm just attending a 3-day conference. I'm very busy. I have no time to exercise. I did not see anybody here in the gym today morning. We're all doctors. We're all practicing. So I keep my little toys with me all the time. I keep these toys which I travel with, and I keep doing this exercise, 30 kilos, 50 kilos, 60 kilos. You turn it around, it's 70 kilos. So you travel with little toys that you don't have excuse. You are in the flight, you're having a bath, you're sitting on the pot, you're on the phone with one hand. At least use the other hand. Keep doing your grip strength exercises. Grip strength has very important connection with longevity, especially with cognitive longevity. If you don't have time to go to do weights, you can do TheraBands. You do TheraBands in your room, 5 minutes. So keep doing some form of movement. It's important to do some form of muscle building at any point of time. These are not, I know everybody's short of time, everybody's working, but 15 minutes a day you can take out. We heard about Zach Bush 4-minute workout, very interesting, and a very interesting thing to do is what he taught. I went and saw the video last night, very, very well done. Strength training, we talked about training muscles and training for life. Deep sleep, this is biological magic. Actually, we spoke about it, but healing your brain, repairing your body is actually very important through the sleep. I normally tell my patients, the 8 hours of sleep is more important than the 16 hours of wakefulness that you have. What you do in those 16 hours is less important, and what you do in the 8 hours is more important. So that's how important sleep is. And once the body is strong and fueled, next is our mastery of emotions. Because the water does not flow outside, it flows inside as well. So emotional mastery is a very, very important part. I have heard about the blue zone wellness. This conference is about blue zone wellness, and we talk about the blue mind and the red mind. The blue mind is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a calm mind helping you to relax. The red mind is the sympathetic and the stressed mind. This is where we need to balance both. Ice plunge, we heard from Dr. Brian a beautiful talk yesterday on that. It trains the nervous system, it's HRV mastery. Well, what does your heart do? A cha-cha-cha. What is HRV? HRV stands for heart rate variability. I'm sure you all know that. It's a measure of variation in time between heartbeats, and it reflects how well your autonomic nervous system is acting. Breath work, we've had several talks on breath work. It resets your brain. Wim Hof breathing, pranayam in yoga, and many other methods of is exhalation and inhalation. We practice that. This friend of mine who is in India now, he could not attend the conference, a guy called Dr. Arpit Bansal. He does underwater meditation. So he goes into the water, into the swimming pool, deep inside 8 to 10 feet, and he does meditation for 20 minutes inside. Gratitude, daily journaling rewires your emotions. Nature therapy, so stepping outside, grounding, walking barefoot on the ground. It's a very important part of emotional turbulence handling. And when emotions settle like a still lake, the mind clears up. That's when your body starts to begin and your thoughts start focusing. Meditative alpha state practices, Dr. Peter spoke about it. NSDR is another interesting part, which is called non-sleep deep rest state. In Yoga Nidra, we practice this very well. You lie down and you are able to listen to a specific commentary, focusing on the brain parts, one to the other, and that's what really affects your brain state as well. Neuroplasticity, we've spoken enough about, ultimate anti-aging tool for the brain. Reading, I get a lot of flack from my family because I have so many books in my room that there's less place to sleep and more books. So I add them as a part of my daily life. I carry books with me everywhere. CO2 tolerance is another interesting part. Dr. Brian spoke about it today, but breathing. But here's something which is CO2. What is CO2 tolerance? CO2 tolerance refers to how well your body and brain can tolerate rising levels of carbon dioxide. When you increase carbon dioxide in the brain, in your blood before feeling discomfort, like breathlessness, that's when your brain and body's relationship with carbon dioxide is defined. Low CO2 tolerance means quick breathlessness, anxiety, and poor focus. High CO2 tolerance means calm under pressure, sharper thinking, and better stamina. A small exercise which actually Dr. Brian made us do, but this is a little different. So if you breathe, take a deep breath. I'm not going to make you do it because you just had a 30 rounds of breathing. So I'm not going to make you do it, but yes, if you can exhale like that, and you exhale, and then you hold your breath. All of you have got timers on your phone. Time yourself. If you can do 30 to 40 seconds, your tolerance is low. 40 to 60 seconds, you have moderate tolerance, and 60 seconds plus, you have high resilience. So try to hold your breath. Brian said about 5 minutes, you said, right? About 4 to 5 minutes people can hold. I do 2 minutes, 10 seconds. I can't do more than that. But let's try to increase that as much as we can. A digital reset. Disconnect daily from your digital. We heard a lot about this. We all know it, but we don't do it. So once your mind is sharp, final ignition happens. The fire body. That's the last part. And the fire body, where purpose, spirit, and inner energy, they converge and they come alive. Purpose. We all need to find purpose in our life. It fuels longevity. Find your why. Why am I doing this? Why am I existing on this planet? What am I supposed to do? What is the purpose of my life? A very, very important part. Fasting. Wrong idea to talk about fasting when we are 5 minutes away from lunch. Everybody's hungry. So don't fast today. Okay, sunlight. Sunlight will synchronize your circadian rhythm and your spiritual rhythm. So honor the light. Heart-brain coherence is the heart math, another important area. And of course, flow states, as we discussed about flow states in the beginning, train them like muscles to maximize efficiency. What is the flow cycle? You struggle, then you release, then you flow, and then there's recovery, and then again you struggle. So it's a cycle that you go through, is your flow state. In nature, Turritopsis dohrini is an immortal jellyfish. I'm sure you've heard of this or read about it in your studies. It reminds us that biological aging is not an unbreakable law. This fish reprograms its cellular cycle, and it reinvents itself. It's not just survival, but a renewal. It renews all the cells and makes them new every day. True longevity is not about avoiding death. It's about living so deeply that even time flows around you, not against you. So 20 powerful acts. This is the last slide for you to just take a picture of, and you can understand what are the takeaway from this talk. Earth body, water body, air body, fire body. What is the way? These are the 20 powerful biohacks, all taught by Dr. Sujit. I've learned from him. This is what we do. I mean, this is our clinic in India. This is my first book which I wrote, the second book which I wrote, third book which I wrote, and this book is the last one, which was published only 3 days ago. Dr. Patana just released it this morning, and it's available downstairs if you want to read it. That's the code. This is the next one which I'm working on, is the longevity of consciousness. How can consciousness be long? Consciousness is immortal. So how can you talk about consciousness longevity? That is where energy medicine counts, the power of intention, the power of thought energy. How can thought energy elongate the quality of your consciousness is what I'm going to talk about next. This is my company's profile. Thank you very much for your time. Like Ushi said yesterday, the biggest gift that I've received is your time. The biggest gift is time. You've given me your time, you've given me your patience. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause to Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva as well. Great talk, great speech, and obviously a great reminder as well to all of us that we need to keep balanced life.
Yes. Actually, it boils down to lifestyle modification. Everybody knows, but we need to remind you. Because after the heat compression, go back on your auto mode and you forget about everything you learned from these 3 days.
That's how time. Which Dr. Gordon touched on.
Okay. So actually, we have a lot of things that we would like to go through. Thank you. A round
Thank
of
you.
applause for
Thank you.
Dr. Sanjay, please.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? So I guess there are no questions. Anyway, Dr. Sanjay will be with us throughout the day.
Yeah.
If you have any questions.
And he has his books downstairs, so if anyone is interested, please go.
Thank you.
Find one.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a great session for the brain health issue, and it was
Thank you.
excellent timing indeed for food for thought, food for